just take the job. If you're scared, that's a good thing. Find a good mentor and go in and just do it. Seriously, we went from 85% to 5% in a week. And I would say this especially for females, because there's been a lot of research that females will not apply for a job until they feel they are fully qualified. I said 80%. Get it to 80%. We're going to be industry leading. Boy, they came back to me in 2025 and they said, we got well past that. The goal's now 90. I was talking to somebody about imposter syndrome. And you shouldn't have imposter syndrome because maybe your skill level has to be here and you're here. This is where the fun happens. This is where you develop. I used to say, fake it till you make it.
Oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Hello and welcome, Steve. I am so impressed with your resume because it is like, this is where I am, this is where I'm going to grow. And it's really, really unusual. So first of all, kudos to that. I want to hear a little bit more, and I want to hear specifically because you've had such a long tenure at White Lodging. Tell me about the things you're most proud of that you've done there, because you've had the chance to really grow within, one company and make your mark. So talk to me about your mark.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably proudest of just the variety of the things that I've been able to do. I mean, I've really been given just an opportunity to do so many different things and just never really felt the need to leave. I actually did leave once. I actually left and went into the senior living field for about a year, and ironically discovered that I had a passion for training and something I knew all along. But one of the people there recognized it, and they had actually offered me a job in their training area. And instead, I contacted White Lodging and said, "Hey, I'm moving. I'm going to be doing training." And one of the CEO at the time said, "Hey, I think I have a role for you if you want to do that." And that was when I got into the VP of Rooms Operations role, which was writing a tremendous amount of policy and procedure and building a lot of training in that area, because, that's our largest employee base. And when you have to teach people how to clean rooms and silly things that really make a difference. I mean, when you check into a room and that bed looks good, that bed, it takes a lot of training to do a JW bed. It really does. And so there was that opportunity. And then I did that for about 9 years. And we opened, I think I did 35 hotel openings in that time because we were really growing very rapidly. And that's always a lot of fun to go in there and just immerse yourself for 6 weeks into a project. And then this opportunity came up just completely out of the blue. The owner of the company walked into my office, and it was one of those times where I'm like, "What are you doing in my office? You never come in my office. What is happening here?" We were coming out of COVID, and I thought, I had already told my husband, I'm like, who knows? But he said, "I'm bringing this job back. I want you to take it." And so we talked a little bit about what my vision was, because my vision was very different than what we had done before. I had opinions, but it was completely out of the blue. And so here I am again, my dream job. And, it's been a good run. It really has been.
So, and within your capacity of your dream job, talk to me about what you've done that's, that you feel has made a mark, or, something that sort of you feel like is your legacy.
Well, I think, we were coming out of COVID when hospitality was really hit hard by COVID. I mean, we went overnight. Well, yeah, seriously, we went from 85% to 5% in a week. We closed 35 hotels. A couple of our hotels were closed for 15 months because it took that long for us to come back from it. So, that happened by 2021, revenge travel was back and people were just dying to get out. They were not friendly. It was rough. And so we were really in a bad situation with staffing levels. I took over a department that was a department of 9. I had one person in that department. So I was rebuilding the talent acquisition. I was rebuilding the entire talent development team. And then we were also looking at what do we want to do with career pathing, because everything that I was reading, it was about career pathing. So I think I'm really proud of what we did from a TA standpoint. I think we looked at some very innovative stuff. We looked at a lot of international recruiting. search engine optimization of our job postings. I'm still amazed when I look at job postings and they're, 5,000 words long, and it doesn't search well. We did programmatic, we did a lot of things. And so that really, really helped. We went from, I think at the time I took over, we were about 270 open management jobs. We're now at about 60 open management jobs. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud that we've taken, training and development departments traditionally focus on those training events. Somebody comes to them and says, hey, we have an issue. And they say, well, we can build this class. And so we build a class. So we build an online training thing. And what we really looked at when I hired our director of talent development, Kyle, one of the reasons that his presentation, because we made all of our candidates do presentations, really rang true with their chief operating officers. He talked about the 70-20-10 rule, that 70% of what you learn on the job through exposure to projects, task force, stretch assignments, things like that. 20% you learn through mentoring relationships, and then 10% you learn through that classroom and that online. And so a lot of times people look at, okay, what is that 10%? Because that's the sexy part. And it is terribly fun. And we have some incredible classroom training that we've refined and really looked at how does it support the operation. We have built some new stuff. So we have some really good stuff there. So we brought that in and tied that into our talent development network. But we really looked at how do we make our managers better at creating development plans that really make use of that 70% and really define what that 20%, what a quality mentoring relationship looks like. And so we are on a journey with that. And that takes a lot to move an organization to teach them that, because it's really a refined skill. But that was all part of our career journey platform. We built a career pathing platform. We completely redid our HRIS so that development plans are in a different place and in a different format. And we've seen some great results. We really have.
Yeah, talk to me about the results, because it's very unusual to build your own thing. Usually if people want an off the shelf, quick and dirty solution, but you guys kind of took the challenging route there.
Yeah, and I can tell you that in 2023, when we worked with an outside company to help us build it, and then of course worked with another company that helped us make all of these changes to the HRIS. And in 2023, I was saying, this is a lot of money, this is a lot of effort. Or am I pulling us in the right direction? And when we rolled out in August of 23, we were hearing, look, if we can master this, it'll be game changing. One of our best people developers sat in the rollout class and said, hey, folks, she kind of had the floor. She said, you're looking at me and I look pretty calm, but inside I am dancing, because this is such great stuff. And we're putting some onus on the individual to own their own development, but also giving them better skills. And she said, this is my love language. You were speaking my love language with this. So we had really positive response in the beginning, but we also had situations where people were really excited about it. And then they realized it's going to be a lot of work. It really was. And so it was kind of like getting them through that change cycle. But we've seen, our management turnover is down 10 points. Our hourly turnover is down 20 points. Our Glassdoor score has gone up from a 3.55 or 3.57 to 4.2. We are number 3 for career opportunities on Glassdoor, which is really interesting to us, because the fact is that we are not growing the way that some other hospitality management. We have taken a really intentional stance to put a little bit of a pause on it, really understand who we are and what we want to do. So when we saw that, we said we're number 3. We said, yeah, this is working. Our engagement scores, we use Gallup to measure or to work with us on associate engagement. Those scores went up from a 4.36 to a 4.46, which doesn't sound like much, but they're like, that is really a material change, especially in this environment. And what was interesting is that the questions that grew the most were somebody's talked to me about my performance. I feel like I have a development plan here. So those were really pretty significant for us. So yeah, we have seen some results. You can always, a lot of this has to do with how the field is embracing this. And I think, well, Gallup came in because we on a just got our second Gallup Exceptional Workplace Award, and Gallup, when they did the interviews with their people, there were specific. They came back with specific comments, and they said, your people, like they're saying, if we can get people who have gotten the quarterly wraps down, people who are doing the development plans, are really seeing a difference. So it all kind of came together. So yes, I'm very proud of that. I'm very, very proud.
That's phenomenal. I do have a question. I don't know if you have this number to pull out of your pocket. How long does the average employee stay within Weight Lodging?
I don't know that. Hospitality tends to have a pretty high turnover rate. And we know that we are probably 20 to 30 points below the average. But I don't know what the average time is.
That's okay. You did your homework otherwise, so well done you. No, I think the second people know that someone is investing in their future and they know where they have to grow, that's half the work right there. Getting them to that place is the other half, obviously.
And I've been very lucky. Their senior leaders have really embraced it. Again, you hear what it's going to be. You're really excited. It rolls out. You're really excited. There is that big change component where you go, okay, I know you're excited about it, but now you got to do the work because there's a lot of work in this. And but they're good.
So last follow-up question, how did you get people there? How did you get people from this is great, I don't want to do it, to like, all right, I'm doing it, and it is as promised. So how did you sort of bridge that gap?
Okay, so when we were looking at this, I did look at off-the-shelf products, and I even looked at what was already in our HRIS. And what we really felt is that none of them really spoke to the diversity of roles in hospitality. You can be a general manager of a 170-room select service hotel, or you can be a general manager of a 1,000-room JW hotel that has 100,000 square feet of meeting space. The jobs are very different, and they require a different skill set. And so we knew that we couldn't say, hey, you're qualified, because what those systems do is they tend to give you a score, and then that score puts you here. And so what we really wanted to do, we met with an outside consultant to talk about this. And they came back and they said, what you're telling us is that your career growth happens, basically there's 4 steps. You need a place where somebody can go and explore the opportunities and just figure out what's available, what's the diversity of it. They need to come back, they need to have a conversation with their managers and discover what really is the right path and get the manager to agree to it. Once that's done, build the development plan. And once that development plan is built, have quarterly check-ins. And so it became the structure of explore, discuss, build, grow. So those 4 steps. The explore piece of it is what we really built from scratch. And that is our Pathfinder tool, where somebody can go in. Yeah, there's 14 disciplines. They can look at the opportunities in the disciplines. It's really sexy. It lights up. If you highlight a role, it lights the other roles that could be after it light up. And then it's got videos of different people talking about their career journeys and things like that. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that people understood that we want them to understand what the options are. And so they link back and forth. And that took a lot of work to put that together, a lot of work with SMEs to put that together. And so building that took a lot of work, and then making sure the HRIS was right, making sure that we had a toolkit for the managers that was really pretty simple. There's 3 forms on the manager side. There's 2 forms on the associate side. So we really were very intentional in how we built it, but we also did a change management plan. So we really looked at what were the changes that were going to need to happen with people to where were we now and where did they need to be. And from that, we realized once we rolled it out, we probably had a 3-year process before we were really good at it. And we're about 1.5 years, 2 years into it. And so quite honestly, the way that we got people moving was compliance. We made sure when we built the HRIS that we had compliance, that we could track who's got a development plan. We couldn't necessarily track quality. We took another step with the quality of the development plans that I'm happy to talk about. But so we looked at that. And then the other thing that we knew that was absolutely vital was that quarterly, we call them wrap sessions. And we'd always had wrap sessions in the company. When I joined in 96, we had wrap sessions, but we had no way of looking at them kind of company wide. Like I couldn't say, hey, my Indy Marriott is at this compliance level with wrap sessions. They were paper-based. We had directors of HR that were tracking them on Excel spreadsheets. And so what we did was we made sure that we built the reporting that would allow us to track compliance. Okay, did they check the mark? And then we would also be able to go in there and look at them. So any manager in the company can dig deeper into their people. So if they want to see what Joe's wrap session looked like for Q3 of last year, they can go in there and they can find it and they can look at it. So we tied it to the development plan. So again, when you put it on the development plan, people, it's like that, it's a part of your development plan. And so I think from the manager side and the employee side, it became that. So we really went for the compliance and then just continue, like this is built into all of our training now. There's always a section on career journey. There's always a section on development. I was just talking to my director of talent development that he just did a class in Austin, and he just said that section was so well received because people are so grateful that we're still teaching. It wasn't a flash in the pan. Let's roll this out. It was continual. The other thing, and when it comes to that compliance too, is that very early on, my chief operating officer got behind this and said, this is going on their goals. This is going on their bonus plan, that they had to have a certain level of compliance. And it was funny because I said 80% the first year, 2024, when we really went intense on the wrap sessions. I said 80%. Get it to 80%. We're going to be industry leading. They came back to me in 2025 and they said, we got well past that. The goal's now 90. And so now on their development or on their performance goals, it's 90%. So part of that is that, but then we also see where they're understanding now when they do it and they do it well. They like when they use the forms, because we have forms, like I am using the same form that a front desk manager uses to have my wrap with my CHRO. It's a pre-wrap reflection guide. I fill it out. I send it to him. And, the first question is, what do you want to get out of this? And I think that's a key thing, is that we put the onus on the individual. But so, and he uses it, in his quarterly wrap with the CEO, he uses it. So it's kind of interesting because you have, like, we would see, like I would be sitting in a session and like somebody would be fighting us on why do we have to do the form? And somebody across the room, another regional vice president would say, look, dude, I'm using the forms now and my conversations are so much more powerful with my people. Get with the program. And so it takes time. It takes time for people to kind of get on that path. But for us, the first thing was, let's just track, are we doing it? This past year, we did audits of development plans where I gave them 6 questions to answer about the development plan. And then now I know what the percentages are across the company, where the focus needed to be. And so then this year, the focus is on 2 things, 2 of those 6 questions, and we'll see where we can move it this year for quality development plans. So
that's phenomenal. And so if I zoom out, what I'm hearing is, and I think this is a great sort of baseline for people to take, like for listeners to take with them. 1, you had executive buy-in at the highest level in sponsorship. 2, to create muscle memory, you made it a compliance issue. So there's no way around it. So once people built it out, saw the benefit, then it becomes muscle memory and it's easy. So I think that's a brilliant way to sort of build something that's thoughtful, baked in, and then make sure people are actually using it. I applaud you. I think that's exactly the way to do it, because otherwise, and I've seen this time and time again, the strategy is there, maybe the execution is there, but then things just fall by the wayside when you're relying on people to like do more than they're used to. And, we're all creatures of habit and comfort, and it's uncomfortable to completely change the way, you're doing things. So I think that's spot on and brilliant. And now I'm going to completely take a hard left and let's talk about the areas where maybe we didn't have such success. You want to share your not so awesome moments?
Well, the first part of it. So we rolled this out in August of 23, August, September. And the first thing was move the development plans. So the development plan, and it's in air quotes because really they weren't, but they were only done once a year as part of the performance review. They were really poor. One of the things I showed them in the rollout was I gave them like this, I'm going to show you 10 development plans. And these are actually the middle of the road. There were some that they were so bad. I'm not even going to put them on here because it's obvious the manager had no idea what they were doing. These are people that came to the table and said, like they thought they were doing a good job and they were awful. And so I said, okay, so if you don't believe we need to change, I don't know what else to give you. So I showed them that. And so I said, the first thing I want you to do is just move it. Take it from the performance review and put it into the development plan section in the HRIS. And we did a lot of work with kind of formatting that to make sure that it fit what we wanted it to be. And so I think that sounds pretty easy. Like I was really emphasizing, I'm not asking you to completely redo it. If it was crap before and you don't want to redo it, then you don't have to redo it. Just put it in the new section. Now, God help you, because like if it's really bad and now you're putting it in front of the individual because they're going to get a notification, such and such has been added to their development plan and it's really bad. Okay, that's on you as a leader. Okay, but just move it. And so you would think that giving them 3 months to do that was not that big a deal, because quite honestly, it took me 5 minutes. But yeah, like I just got all kinds of pushback on that. And like I would do training sessions with people and a month later they would come back and they would say, why are you asking us to do this again? And so, and it was just really frustrating to me. Now we did it and we got there, but it was kind of painful in the meantime. So I wouldn't necessarily say that's a mistake. I think that's an expectation of just make sure people understand. And like you were ready as a leader to understand change is hard. And even though it's on the strategic plan and people have said, I'm in, when it comes time to actually do the work, they're probably going to go, why are we doing this again? Or couldn't we have designed it this way? And they're going to do all this second guessing and just push ahead. Because, even if you're not perfect, you're taking them in the direction you need to go.
Would you have done something different now, knowing what you know now? How would you have approached it?
I wouldn't have done something different. I think that I would have messaged it more and messaged it maybe a little bit differently. One of the things I struggle with is that what is obvious to me is many times not obvious to other people. And so you have to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and continually say, this is the benefit, this is the benefit, this is the benefit, this is why, this is why, this is why, this is why. And so I think that probably our communication would have been a little bit different. The consulting company that we were working with, we started doing not focus groups, so like just think tanks and sessions about. And this is when they came up with the explore, discuss, build, grow model. And we worked on like the, what that looked like and the design of the website and things like that. And so we started in November. Well, it was complete by June, and they told us, you are crazy. And we wanted it by March. And they said, you are absolutely nuts. The earliest you're going to get this is June. And sure enough, it was June. So, not necessarily a mistake, but understanding that you're moving 1,000 miles a minute trying to get this thing done because you believe that you've got to get it out of the way. Probably would have slowed down a little bit. I think, again, it's the change that when you're asking people to make these kinds of changes.
Yeah. Someone I recently interviewed on the podcast said when it comes to communication, he's learned say what that you're going to communicate something, communicate it, repeat it again, and then say, here's what I just communicated, just to make sure. And I'll add to that, I think it's not just what or how, but who. I think that different people listen to different people within a company, and you need to know who those, which levers and who those individuals should be when you want to really affect change. Because if it's coming from HR, a lot of times people aren't listening. If it's like a compliance email, you're like, oh, good, a video training. Those people roll their eyes and ignore it because they have more important things to do. But when it's your boss is, it's a very different scenario when that's like, no, I expect you to do this, but you have to make sure that you've level set up here before you expect anyone below to make it happen. But it doesn't matter what company, that's the big boulder. Getting people to understand why, accept it, and then do something about it. That's the trifecta that kills, really.
This was new territory for us. We had never looked at it from this standpoint. And I made it clear when Bruce tapped me on the shoulder, I said, I'm not doing this unless you support this. And I explained what I wanted to do. And the sad thing is that Bruce died in February of 23. He died of pancreatic cancer. And so, but what's funny is that his son is now the one that's kind of our champion of this in the company. And, I told Otis that I really regret that he's not here to see it. Because I think he would have been really proud. He would have pushed me harder than even I pushed myself. So now I was like, wow, he would have really been like, well, why can't you have it until March and in March? But, I regret that. But, it's making sure that those people who are really going to be influential are on board is key.
Amazing. All right. So last and final question. You really haven't had an unusual career trajectory, but sitting from where you are now, if you could look back and tell yourself, here are the skills you need to be building as soon as possible, what would those skills be and why?
One, flexibility, because you never know when those opportunities are going to come your way. And you're like, when they approached me to become a director of HR, I was like, what? And quite honestly, that opened up a lot of doors. It was a new training. And so flexibility. I think communication is absolutely vital. You need to be able to craft a memo that is concise and gets to the point and things like that. You also need to be able to stand in front of a group of people and make your point and motivate them. I think you have to be somebody who is a continual learner. And that's not just what's required in your job. It's podcasts, it's books, it's, and I'm doing coaching now, and I'm always amazed where I'll go. I was on a call yesterday. I'm like, oh yeah, there's this book, pulled the book out. And I said, this is the book you need. I've read that book 10 years ago. So I think that those things are absolutely vital because you've got to be able to change, and change is coming so quickly now, but you have to be able to do that. I think the other thing is that you should define, take a look at, it's very difficult to plan even 5 years now because the workplace is changing so rapidly. But if there are going to be some key positions, like as a CHRO, companies are always going to need somebody who's in charge of HR. Or if you're in manufacturing, somebody's always going to have to be in charge of certain key things there, whether it's supply chain or whatever. So look at where you want to be eventually, and then plan your career from there, and understand, again, 70% of what you're going to learn on the job, and do it afraid. So take the position, and I would say this especially for females, because there's been a lot of research that females will not apply for a job until they feel they are fully qualified. Arrogant men will do it without all the skills. Do it afraid. Just take the job. If you're scared, that's a good thing. Find a good mentor and go in and just do it. Because it's that learning. It's that I was talking to somebody about imposter syndrome. And you shouldn't have imposter syndrome because maybe your skill level has to be here and you're here. This is where the fun happens. This is where you develop. And so if you can be really good at, okay, this is how I'm going to get these skills, this is how I'm going to do that. That's something that's going to help you in so many jobs, in so many things. So do it afraid. And I used to say, fake it till you make it.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you. This has been fascinating, illuminating, and for me, very, very fun. So I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.